Hi, it's Kyle from Bitewing Games, and today we're learning how to play Gingham, designed by Robert Hovakimyan and published by us here at Bitewing Games. The art's from Alicia Giroux. If you haven't seen her stuff, you should definitely check it out. She's awesome and we love working with her. Anyway, in Gingham, the point of the game is to win, and you win by having the most points. You'll earn points as you lay your ants on the board, surrounding and claiming different treats, and by creating confectionery connections. Let's take a quick look at the setup. Set out the board in the center of the table. For 2 players, you'll use the smaller board, and you'll play with 5 of each type of good. If playing with 3 or 4 players, use the larger board. You will not play with the lollipops with 3 to 4 players, so return any pieces with lollipops to the box. Randomly place the sweet tokens face up on the grid at each marked intersection. Place the ability board next to the central board, and randomly place the ability tokens onto the open slots. Place the sugar cubes next to the board as a supply. Each player selects a color and takes the 26 ants, 2 queens, score dial, and claim tokens. Okay, on to the gameplay. On your turn, you will place your queen onto one of the 4 sides of the board. You will then place an ant onto that row, but the ant cannot cross the center stitch. So placing your queen here would let you place an ant in any of these spaces. Everyone has to place their queens on an open space on the same side of the board. To start the game, the player who most recently went on a picnic goes first, and then you'll go in clockwise order. The start player places their queen on any side of the board, placing an ant somewhere in that row, and then the next player clockwise does the same, placing on the same side of the board. Continue in this fashion until all players have placed both queens. Remember, you can play on the stitch, but you cannot cross the stitch when placing your ant. And we're not going to go clockwise for the rest of the game. Instead, the player who placed their queen closest to the star removes their queen and places it on a new side of the board, placing an ant out. Then the next player closest to the star, and so on until all players have placed their 2 queens on the new side of the board. So for the next round, the turn order will be green, then orange, then blue, then green, then blue. You do have to place your queen in an empty location. But what about the ants? Can you kick someone out? Yes, you can. On your turn, you can place your queen in this empty location, and then place an ant in any of these spaces. If you place your ant where an opponent's ant was, you'll remove that ant and give it to the owner player. Once you've finished your turn claiming or moving treats, the player that you kicked out will then place their ant on any open space on the board. Okay, so we're placing the ants, but why does it matter where they're going? Well, like I said, we're trying to form connections. After placing your ant, look to see if you've created a chain connecting 2 of the same sweets. If you did, count the shortest path between those 2 sweets and score 1 point per ant. So placing here will score you 2 points. No cheating, this isn't 3 points. It's always the shortest path possible. Move one of the sweets on top of the other, creating a stockpile. Later, if you connect this sweet to another similar sweet, you'll either add the new sweet to the stockpile or move the entire stockpile to the other sweet. So these piles are just getting bigger and bigger. After moving a sweet, place the indicated number of sugar cubes on the space the treat was just taken from. Not only can you move sweets, but you can also claim them if you entirely surround a type of sweet or a stockpile. If you do, place your matching colored token on that pile. You can completely surround a corner with 1 ant, a treat on the border with 2, or a treat in the middle with 4 ants. If you claim a stockpile, gain 1 point per sweet in the stack, not including your newly placed piece. Your token is now on the board, so if you claimed cupcakes here, you can't claim another pile of cupcakes later. But you can steal someone else's stockpile. Say green has their cherry token here. I can kick them out of these 2 spaces and steal that stockpile. I would score 1 point for each token that isn't my own, so 4 points. I return the cherry token to the green player, which they could use again later. Once some of the sweets have been moved, you'll have sugar cubes on the board. If you place an ant next to a sugar cube, you gain 1 sugar cube. These sugar cubes are used for special abilities here on the chocolate board. On your turn, you can activate just one ability using your sugar cubes. The cost is shown here on the chocolate board. These were placed out randomly, and once a player uses an ability, it gets moved to the top and the others slide down, becoming cheaper. These abilities will be used to help you to break some of the regular rules. This ability lets you select the same row as yourself when placing your queen. This ability lets you select the same row as an opponent. And when deciding turn order, the queen that was placed first goes first the next round. This ability lets you place your ant across the stitch on your chosen row. This ability lets you move an ant in your chosen row instead of placing an ant. So you could place your queen here, move this ant to any open location, triggering any connections or claiming stockpiles like usual. This ability lets you score 1.5 times the normal points when making a connection, rounded down. So placing your ant here forms a connection. You move the cookies here and score 7 points. You spend 2 sugar cubes to make it worth 3 additional points, half of 7 rounded down. Throughout the game, you'll be secretly keeping track of your points on your dial. Remember, you'll earn points during the game when you make connections and when you claim a stockpile. At the end of a round, after all the queens have been moved to a new side of the board, if any player has reached 40 points, 32 points in a 4-player game, they'll announce that, say, hey, the game is now over, and then you're going to move on to final scoring. Each player scores 1 point for each suite in their claimed stacks, including their own token. So orange will score 2 points, 4 points, and 3 points. They don't score for the token that they never placed. The tallest stack of each suite will award an additional 5 points. The tallest cherry stack is 6 tall, so green earns 5 more points. There are 2 cupcake stacks that are each 4 high, so orange and blue both earn the 5 points. Finally, score 1 point for each remaining sugar cube you have collected. After final scoring, the player with the most points wins. And in case of a tie, go have a picnic and talk about something more important than a tiebreaker for a fun little game. And that's how you play Gingham. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Until next time.